because we all move to the low end. And so we're going to bring out none other than somebody who I know became a millionaire working a 9 to 5 out here in these streets protecting us. None other than J. Marki, your 9 to 5 millionaire. Woo! And my brother. That's a good man of Omega Sci-Fi. Then we have coming to the stage none other than Natasha Robinson. Woo! Woo! And after going to the NBA, we got Bobby Simmons in the house. Woo! 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 Now, I said we got 2 second-generation realtors, but that other realtor's mama is none other than Bonita Harrison, who then took back entire blocks on the south side. Woo! The next gentleman don't even know this, but I know it. He's actually my neighbor, and my husband waves at him over the alley. None other than Mr. Andrew Bonson. What's going on? Is that my all-star lineup? That's my all-star lineup. Hey, when they say get the hoe, you better get you some real estate, So we're gonna go on and start, because we know that we do have self-made millionaires buying up blocks, renovating houses that you drive by every single day. I'm gonna make an assumption. I was born on 59th and State Street, that we all got a little ghetto heart in us, right? However, how did you get involved in real estate? And did you have any special training before you became a real estate investor? We're gonna start down there with my good brother.
Oh man, first off, it's a pleasure to be here. I got started in real estate. I was a police officer, wanted to become a millionaire. I wanted to make it to the league, not the NBA, but the NFL. Like everybody else, I didn't make it to the league, but I had friends who made it. And so I was able to see their lifestyle. I was able to see how they were living in mansions and how they were driving whatever kind of car, how they were taking care of their family. And I wanted that life, but I knew I couldn't play ball no more. So how did I do it? So I was driving around in the police car on the south side of Chicago, 6th District, 78th and Halsted. And I remember just looking at all of these properties. And I remember seeing people collecting rent. And I remember seeing people owning these buildings. And I said, who are these people? And when I found out how much money they were making from each property, then that's when I said, I can still have the lifestyle of the NFL or the NBA player, but I can do it with one property at a time. So at nighttime, when everybody else was asleep and the police department, they was at Dunkin' Donuts and things like that, I would be driving around the neighborhoods looking at abandoned properties, and I would be seeing how could I own these properties so I could really make change.
So we're talking about how you gonna leverage your time. If you out here in the clubbing, were you clubbing?
No, it was not clubbing.
Well, it wasn't no clubbing, all right? It's a point where the clubbing gets old, all right? Natasha, what about you?
So as a kid, my father lost our building as a kid that he inherited with no help or anyone to teach him. He lost our building and we had to move out. So I got into real estate just for the hunger and the grind to get to my next level. I'm a pioneer in my family, and I bought real estate not even knowing. I'm a house hacker. I didn't even know I was a house hacker. I just didn't have any money. So I was buying each property with very little money down and going to my next property. And it did a lot for me. It built, my ego. It helped me quit my job, and it just helped me get to my next level.
All right now, Bobby, how you leverage all that money?
Well, like you said, initially, grew up in the low end as well, 39th Lake Park. Okay. And I was fortunate enough, like you said, make it to the NBA. And like my role was a little different because I was given an opportunity to have money. But unfortunately, I started with buying rehab houses and building an opportunity for families who couldn't really afford housing. And that was my main focus. That's why I started my nonprofit. And from there, like you said, just trying to teach my family how to withstand generational wealth.
All right. Now, Benita, I remember our kids playing on the playground over at Ariel, right? We had found a school where parents come in the middle of the day to their kids' little assembly. How did you get started?
Well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for me being here. I always had an infatuation for real estate. When I would walk around my neighborhood, I would see real estate, and I always wanted to be in it. However, I was the first college grad in my family. My father only had a 6th grade education, low end as well, 39th in Lake Park. So my family pushed me to get a college education. So I got my bachelor's and master's degree in mathematics. I went to work for corporate. I started working at PepsiCo. I got fired within like 6 months. Within that 6 months, I bought my first home, right? It was electric blue and pink. And I was renovating it while I lived there. So when I lost my job, I'm like, oh my God, my credit, I'm gonna lose a house. And I didn't expect that, right? So lost the job, sold the house, and I was like, wow. When I sold it, I made my salary times 2. And I'm like, why am I working for corporate America when I'm only making a percentage of what they can give me? So that started my trajectory into real estate.
All right, Andrew. Let's see.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Real estate, I got started honestly by my dad from a young age. He's been owning properties, you know what I'm saying? He was a landlord. And I always remember just going over there and just painting. He was always like, hey, me and my brother, he'd make us come over there and paint. You know what I'm saying? Every time he'd turn it over, we had to go paint. And that was like every year he had a new tenant. So, you know what I'm saying? He used to slave us like his kids, you know what I'm saying? That's how we earned our allowance for real. But I always was so like infatuated with it, like, damn, and he always used to keep the same color. He used to paint it white. It looked like a jail cell, you know what I'm saying? And I used to always be like, man, make it gray, you know what I'm saying? Or make it this color. But, fast forward now, from being a kid, that same property that I was paying, he sold it to me, I want to say about 8 years ago. And he sold it to me for more than what it was actually worth. I paid $30,000 for it. It probably was really worth like 18 in the condition that it was in. But, the 30 was cool. I put 5 in it. I rented it out for about 2 or 3 years, made my money back, and then I flipped it on probably the 3rd or 4th year, and I made like $120,000. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I got into real estate. You know what I'm saying? That was the first one, and then from there, it became another, thing, and it kept, opening up more and more doors after that.
Wow. Now, one thing we talked or didn't talk about was specialized training. And when I came into real estate, I already had a master's degree, but this is what's crazy. I came in July 31st, 1999, while going through a bitter lawsuit with my family because I owned the trademark right to limbs. So as we were getting ready to settle our lawsuit, I wanted to feel like a stay-at-home mom and earn an above-average income. I became a non-licensed loan originator because we didn't have licensing provisions in the state of Illinois. We didn't have those until 2004. So from 99 to 2004, I took care of my son without having a loan originator's license. But in that time frame, I became a licensed real estate broker. I didn't go to school to be a licensed real estate broker either. It was this opportunity that existed 20-some years ago that if you had a master's degree or a bachelor's degree, you could just sit for the exam. I went and sat for the exam, passed it the first time, and became a broker. And so you gotta understand, we black folks, I told you I'm from 59th and State. That means that the front door is not always open. Sometimes we gotta scale buildings, find the back door, dig a trench, come up under the building. They actually did that to me on one of my buildings. To get up in there because we had VPS, they came underground up through the basement. So it might not be a clear-cut path, but you're gonna have to make a sacrifice. So I know a lot of people don't know how that money situation works. How did you get the money for your first property that you purchased?
Oh, man. Funny story. Like I said, I was a police officer. I was making $36,000 a year. Broke down to $1,200 every 2 weeks. I did not have much money, but I remember the police department would give us a uniform allowance, right? They'd give you money to buy new uniforms, give you money to purchase a vest. They'd give you money to purchase a gun. I took the money they gave me and I used it as my down payment on my first property. And then somebody said, man, what happened to your vest? What happened to your gun? My father was a police officer, my mama was a police officer, and my brother was a police officer. So I borrowed a gun from my dad, I borrowed a vest from my brother, and I borrowed some handcuffs from my mother. I made it work. I made it work. When there's a will, there's a way. And I was gonna take that $5,000 they gave me instead of spending it on the uniform. And I'm telling y'all, I worked a job for 20 years and I was a millionaire probably within the first 6 years from real estate investing, and I still did not go buy new uniforms. Every time they gave us that check, because they give it to you like every year, I would take that money and I would use it as a down payment on properties.
Wow. Natasha?
So I did some very, very, very creative negotiating. I'm from the west side of Chicago. I bought on the west side of Chicago. I didn't come to the table with any money, and I got money back at the table. And I will tell you, at the closing table, the landlord gave me the keys, and I didn't know what he was talking about, y'all. He said, "This is your problem now." So I was able to utilize programs and things that was available, but I was only making about $36,000 a year. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any savings. We had to make it happen. And as a matter of fact, after running out of money on that project, I actually was exposed to being a loan officer because my first job with my red leather jacket on, it was at a mortgage company. And I worked my way up. So it's funny how divine intervention happens, but I had no money, y'all. I had a very serious negotiation and a plan. I wasn't giving up, and I was able to get in that property with no money.
All right, Bobby. Bobby, where that money come from? Y'all were hating. Y'all gotta get them right, Bobby. Get them right.
Well, like you said, being drafted to the NBA, everybody initially don't make millions of dollars. So I was a 41st pick, second round of the NBA draft, and my first property, I applied for FHA loan.
All right now.
First of all, being an NBA player, just because you have money don't mean you got credit. First of all, I had no credit, but I had money. So when it turned out to be the fact that, okay, well, I can sign for this, put a little money down and still pay it off later, okay, that was my opportunity to understand about real estate.
I'm telling you, I love us. Don't you love us? I'm gonna borrow somebody's gun. I'm gonna negotiate. I'm in the NBA, but I'm gonna do this 3.5% down, right? Just because you got it don't mean you gotta spend it, right? Benita, come on with the pink and the blue house you had, that you doubled your money. Come on, let's talk about that one. How you get it?
Well, my trajectory is really, really similar to Natasha. So I really want to talk about a different property that I purchased, right? Because it's unique to our community. So my family migrated to the north in the 1940s, right? So we're doing the Great Black Migration. We migrated to this area. My grandmother bought a property on land contract. My grandmother and my grandfather at 27% interest. So we were fortunate to be able to hold on to that property, paid it off, right? But my first experience of being a landlord, I bought a 22-unit building in Inglewood. But that property, that one property that she bought on land contract, was able to give me $200,000 to be able to acquire that property, right? And so in turn, and I want to give a shout out to Wendell right here in the audience because he is one of my financiers right now. Gave me a line of credit with CCLF, but I was able also to turn around and give my daughter $80,000 to buy her first 6-unit property. So that's why we're here, wealth building, legacy building. But with that land contract, over $7 billion was stole from the Black community. Because once you miss one payment, and we were very fortunate, once you miss one payment, they take that property from you.
Ooh, Andrew, where that money come from?
Well, the first property I did that I spoke about in the beginning, I paid cash for it, $30,000. And then from the proceeds, when I sold it, maybe like a few years later, by that time I was already, I just used that money to kind of have a down payment because I started using hard money lenders. So I was using Renovo, Finance of America, constructive loans. So, those are like 20% down loans, and you acquire the property and then, you get the money to either fix the property or you're doing a 30-year mortgage on the loan or whatnot. And I believe it was about 5%, which is good today, in this economy. So I was just basically using hard money lenders.
And there's nothing wrong with using a hard money lender. You had Renovo. Some of us gonna take you back to Smith Rothschild. I think all of us had a 20% interest rate loan, but we made it rain money with 20% interest loans. Now, I'm gonna ask each person a different question because we wanna get through this long list of questions. So I'm gonna start with Jamal, and we're gonna ask each person a different question. Jamal, what are the key benefits of investing in real estate?
Ooh, man, you only got 2 minutes for me, right?
Yeah,
All right, so I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. The key benefits, y'all. So I have this thing where I say, man, I have a building for every bill that I have. Every single building, it's not cliche, it's real. I have a building for every bill. So we talking about the low end. I wasn't born in the low end, but I own a lot of properties on the low end right now. Probably own one of the largest houses, if not the largest house in the south side of Chicago, but I have 2 buildings that cover that mortgage. So as a police officer, I could never live in a 20,000 square foot house. I could never have an indoor pool, indoor basketball court with the salary that I was making. Well, because I'm a real estate investor, now I got to retire my wife at the age of 22. There's a building that covered the paycheck that she was receiving. I get to send my kids to private schools. I get to drive whatever car we want to drive. I get to travel wherever I want to travel. We literally have a building. There's a building out there to cover any expense. So just imagine to have any kind of life you want to have. If you wrote down this year, New Year's is coming up, and you saying, hey, this is what I want my life to look like. There's a building that you could attach to that bill. What is it? You just have to find it. So the benefits for real estate for me is that I get to live the type of life that I was able to dream of.
all right. Now, Natasha, as a loan originator, you get to see every single day. How do people find the properties that Jamal just spoke of?
Well, they can find those properties by working with a licensed real estate agent, but the first thing they need to do is get pre-approved. And a lot of people are scared to get started and are really already ready. So you gotta get ready to buy. You gotta have your credit pulled. Yes, you gotta have it pulled. It's meant to be pulled. And then you gotta get out there. You gotta build your real estate team. I actually learned that from 9 to 5 Millionaire. You have to build a team, and you gotta build a team for what works for you. When I first started, they wanted me to buy a condo in the suburbs. They thought I was too light-skinned to live on the west side, but I had my mission of what I wanted, and I went through 4 realtors. And it's funny because State Rep LaShawn Ford was actually my realtor and was the first realtor that actually took me to the hood to where I wanted to buy the property. So you gotta build a good team, and you gotta have a team that has what you want, not what they want for you. You gotta have them to implement your dreams.
All right. Well, and no, Bobby gonna tell you, y'all better clap for Natasha. Bobby, what is the biggest challenge you've had to face in real estate, and how did you overcome it?
Well, like you said, originally, the biggest challenge was finding people I can trust. And when we talk about building a team, I played for teams my whole entire life. And so strategically, everybody has to fit in place. And when it came to just understanding how to purchase, how to leverage, and how to acquire. And like you said, I'm in a big pool of people who I pull from. My brother Courtney Jones is here, Wendell's here, I see him sitting in the front. These are my brothers I go to all the time when it comes to big projects. Because now we are part of Black Coalition for Housing, and we're just trying to do a lot of work on the south side of Chicago. And it's a big project to where I just can't do it by myself. He can't do it by himself, and therefore we need the people who actually have the utility belt and the toolbox to dig in there and just pull us together.
All right. Now I saved this question just for Benita, because she know this like the back of her hand. Oh yeah, wait. If y'all can give it up, you got to give it up for everybody, right? You got the coalition. We got Courtney Jones over here. So, what are land bank properties? And what insights can you provide on the process of acquiring these properties? Because I know you get down with the land bank.
I do. I think Darlene is here too, so you guys will hear from her shortly. But the Land Bank, Cook County Land Bank, they are a institution, government institution that basically purchases property from the tax sale, so that the scavenger sale. So the perk of working with the land bank is that you're not really competing for the property. They also give first-time developers, novice developers, emerging developers an opportunity. And when we talk about grants and things like that, they also get $20,000 to any homeowner or anyone that would purchase a land bank property from a developer or for yourself the first time. Anything you want to know in particular, like how do we apply or?
Well, no, I want them to come and find you if they serious and bring that mobile device with your chat GPT so that you can take notes, so that you can win a TV later. I want you to take action. That's what I want them to do. Bonita, thank you. Now, in closing us off, we're going to finish off with none other than Andrew. What advice would you give to someone who is just starting their journey in real estate? Are there specific resources or tools you would recommend?
What advice? Honestly, the advice I would give somebody today would be to shadow someone. You know, I think that's very important. Like Bobby said, it's hard to trust people. You know what I mean? Just starting off and jumping into real estate because it's such like it's not a game, but you know, you might get a quote from somebody and it might be a $10,000 to $20,000 difference. You know what I mean? At times, so I think just shadowing somebody. You know what I'm saying? Before you start jumping into real estate, get your credit together because that's one thing that you need because we all don't have the amount and the means to do it with cash, you know, but they do have financing out here that, you know, that'll help you acquire these properties. You know, shadow someone, get a crew, try to start vetting out different contractors, you know what I'm saying? Ask people, you know what I'm saying? It's good to ask people about different contractors or different crews or whatever the case may be because you don't want to end up in a situation where I could have asked Bobby like, hey, man, you ever used so-and-so before? And he might not have had a great experience. Instead of me jumping into it with that guy or whatever the crew is, I could have already had that advice from him because I trust his word, you know? So I always just say shadow someone and then, you know what I'm saying, and be out there in the field yourself and then get the knowledge and the experience from that point.
Well, everybody, I want y'all to give it up for the all-star real estate panel for Jamal, Natasha, Bobby, Bonita, and Andrew. Woo! Thank you.